Using systems to model data. An intersection point of the graph of two linear models can be found by graphing, substitution, or elimination. In this example, the market shares of light vehicle sales for Toyota vehicles and General Motor vehicles are F of t and G of t, respectively, at t years since 1990. Use substitution or elimination to predict when the market shares of Toyota and General Motors will be equal. What will be that market share? The table for Toyota and General Motors market shares has the year 1997 and General Motors a market share of 30. In 1999, Toyota had 9, General Motors had 29. In 2001, Toyota had 10, GM had 28. 2003, Toyota had 12, GM had 28. 2005, Toyota had 13, GM had 27. The line of best fit for Toyota is S equals F of t equals 0.65 t plus 3.25. The line of best fit for GM, S equals G of t equals negative 0.35 t plus 32.25. Our first step is to use substitution or elimination to find t, then s. Since each equation is equal to s, I can set the two equations equal to each other. So I have 0.65 t plus 3.25 equals negative 0.35 t plus 32.25. My first step will be to add 0.35 t to both sides. So that gives me 1 t plus 3.25 equals 32.25. Then I want to subtract 3.25 from both sides. T equals 29. 29 years from year 0, our shares will be the same. To figure out what that market share will be, I want to choose one of my original equations. I'm going to use F of t and substitute 29 in for t. So I have F of 29 equals 0.65 times 29 plus 3.25. That equals 18.85 because that's 0.65 times 29 plus 3.25, which gives us 22.1 as the market share. Since we're starting with 1990, I add 29, gives us 2019. The market shares will be equal in 2019, and that market share will be 22.1. In this example, the percentages of Continental Airline tickets that were free and the percentage of American Airline tickets that were free are shown in Table 24 for various years. For the year 1999, Continental had 6% free tickets, American had 10.3% free tickets. 2000, 6.4% for Continental, 9.8% for American. 2001, 6.2% Continental, 9.5% American. 2002, 6.6% Continental, 9.6% American. 2003, 7.3% Continental, 9.2% American. 2004, 7.3% Continental, 8.7% American. 2005, 7.4% Continental, 8.6% American. Let C of t be the percentage of Continental tickets that are free and A of t be the percentage of American tickets that are free, both at t years since 1990. Find the equations of C and A. In order to find the equations of C and A, we have to have the slope and the y-intercept. Our data most likely will not be in a straight line. We need to find our line of best fit. In order to do that, we need to see our scattergram. The first step is to find T. Since we're starting in 1990, the year 1999 will be 9. 2000 would be 10. 2001 would be 11. 2002 would be 12. 2003 would be 13. 2004 would be 14. 2005 would be 15. When plotting this in our graphing calculator, T will be L1, Continental will be L2, and American will be L3. On our calculator, push Stat. We want one edit, enter. Under L1, we want to type our time. 9, enter. 10, enter. 11, enter. 12, enter. 13, enter. 14, enter. 15, enter. Under L2, we want to type 6, enter. 6.4, enter. 6.2, enter. 6.6, enter. 7.3, enter. 7.3, enter. 7.4, enter. Arrow over to L3. This is where we want to type our numbers for American Airlines. 10.3, enter. 9.8, enter. 9.5, enter. 9.6, enter. 9.2, enter. 8.7, enter. 8.6, enter. We will be able to graph both scattergrams on the same XY axis. Second, stat plot, which is above y equals. We want to take our first plot, plot 1, press enter. While on is highlighted, press enter, that turns it on. We do want the scattergram for the type. X list is L1, Y list is L2. This is for Continental. If I arrow up and to the right, we have plot 2 highlighted. Press enter. And now we can set up plot 2, which will be for American. Enter to turn it on. I do want scattergram. I do want my X list to be L1 because that's time. Arrow down. The Y list needs to be L3. By default, it's L2. To change it to L3, I press second, then 3, then enter, and it will now be L3. I'm ready to graph. Start with zoom. We want number 9, which is zoom stat. We can either arrow to zoom stat, then press enter, or just press 9 on our calculator. For this picture, Continental Airlines are the red dots, and American Airlines are the orange dots. Looking at Continental Airlines, my line of best fit would go through my first point and my next to last point. Press trace. So the first point is 9.6. Then I can use my right arrow button. And my next point is 14.7.3. Now let's look at our orange dots for American. If I use the first dot and the last dot, that should give us a line of best fit. Pressing my up arrow, I am now on my second plot, which is our American Airline. I will arrow to the right. One of my points is 15, 8.6. This is my last point. I want the first point. I can find that by arrowing left. And now I have 9 and 10.3. I can use 9.6 and 14.7.3 to find my line of best fit for Continental Airlines. I can use 9, 10.3, and 15, 8.6 to find my line of best fit for American Airlines. I can press my up and down arrows to navigate between my two plots, my left and right arrows to navigate between the points. The graph I'm using is listed at the top. The point is listed at the bottom. We are ready to find the line for Continental Airlines, C of T. Step 1 is to find the slope. M equals the change in y, 7.3 minus 6, divided by the change in x, 14 minus 9. Going back to our calculator, open parenthesis, 7.3 minus 6, close parenthesis, divided by 14 minus 9, close parenthesis. I forgot my open parenthesis. I can arrow until the 1 is highlighted. Second, delete is your insert. I can press my open parenthesis now, and I have open parenthesis 7.3 minus 6, close parenthesis, divided by open parenthesis 14 minus 9, close parenthesis. Enter. My answer is 0.26. Now that I have my slope, I want to use the slope-intercept form of the line, y equals mx plus b, to find b. I can use either point. I'm going to use 9, 6. My y is 6 equals m 0.26 times x, which is 9, plus b. 0.26 times 9 is 2.34. So 6 equals 2.34 plus b. Subtract 2.34 from both sides. 3.66 equals b. My answer, C of t, equals my slope, 0.26, t, plus my y-intercept, 3.66. Now we can find the line of best fit for American Airlines. Starting with the slope, m equals 8.6 minus 10.3 divided by 15 minus 9. Going back to my calculator, open parenthesis, 8.6 minus 10.3, close parenthesis, divide, open parenthesis, 15 minus 9, close parenthesis, enter. My answer is negative 0.283 repeating. Rounding to 2 decimal places, we have negative 0.28. Using y equals mx plus b again, I can use either point as my x and y. I choose the first point, 9, 10.3. 10.3 is my y. M, negative 0.28. X, 9, plus b. Then I have 10.3 equals negative 2.52 plus b, because negative 0.28 times 9 is negative 2.52. Adding 2.52 to both sides, 12.82 equals b. My line, A of t, which replaces the y, equals m, negative 0.28, times x, which in our case is t, plus b, 12.82. We're ready to confirm that our two lines are correct. Press y equals. So the first line matches my first plot. I'm going to type in C of t. 0.26t plus 3.66. It's always going to use x as the default variable. Arrow down, and I want to type in the line for American. Make sure you use your negative symbol, negative 0.28t plus 12.82. If we've done this correctly, the first line should go through our red dots, and the second line should go through the orange dots. Graph. So the blue line does go through the 2 points we've chosen and is very close to the other points in that scatter plot. My green line goes through the 2 orange points we've chosen and is very close to the other points on that scatter plot. So our lines are correct. Find the equations of C and A. C of t equals 0.26t plus 3.66. A of t equals negative 0.28t plus 12.82. In this example, predict when the percentage of Continental tickets that are free will be equal to the percentage of American tickets that are free. What will be that percentage? Using our 2 equations, the easiest method would be substitution. 0.26t plus 3.66 equals negative 0.28t plus 12.82. For my first step, add 0.28t to both sides. 0.54t plus 3.66 equals 12.82. Subtract 3.66 from both sides. 0.54t equals 9.16. Divide both sides by 0.54. T equals 16.96, which rounds to 17. Since it's time, we want to round it to the nearest year. Now that we know it's 17 years to when they are equal, we can find that percentage. I can use my C of t equation or my A of t equation to find that value. Using C of t, C of 17 equals 0.26 times 17 plus 3.66. 0.26 times 17 is 4.42 plus 3.66 equals 8.08. Because we're starting with the year 1990, I add 17 to get the year 2007. In 2007, the number of Continental tickets that are free will be equal to the percentage of American tickets that are free. 8.08% of the tickets will be free. Use Intersect on a graphing calculator to verify your work. Going back to our graphing calculator, we need to be able to see where the lines cross to use the Intersect feature on our calculator. We should have plenty of room on the y-axis, but the x-axis isn't long enough to show us where they cross. Click on Window. The X-min is fine. The X-max I'm going to change from 15.6 to 20, so type 20, enter. The Y-min and Y-max should be fine, so I'm going to push Graph again. Now we can see on our graph where the 2 lines cross. Second, Calc, which is second in your trace button. I want Intersect, which is 5. I can arrow down and press Enter, or just press the number 5. My first curve, arrow over on my right arrow. to where I think they cross. So press enter. Second curve, my guess. And the intersection, x equals 16.96, which does round to 17. Y equals 8.07, which is very close to our 8.08%. In this example, the percentage of electricity generated from natural gas was 23% in 2010 and has increased by about 0.8 percentage point per year. The percentage of electricity generated from coal was 41% in 2010 and has increased by about 0.7 percentage point per year. Predict when the percentage of electricity generated from natural gas will be equal to that from coal. What is that percentage? Fortunately, this paragraph gives us all the information we need to use y equals mx plus b to find the equation for each line. Starting with our statement, the percentage of electricity generated from natural gas was 23% in 2010 and has increased by 0.8 percentage point per year. We can pull out the slope and the y-intercept from that statement. Both the natural gas and the coal give us percentage from 2010. That allows us to make 2010 be when t is 0. Since 23% was the percentage of electricity generated in 2010, our y-intercept is 23%, or 0.23. Then we are told it has increased by about 0.8 percentage points per year. What that tells us is the slope. It went up by 8% per year, or 0.008 when we change our percent to a decimal. Given that information, we can create the equation for our line for natural gas, which I'm going to use N of t as the function name. So N of t replaces your y. My m, 0.008, t for time, replaces my x, plus where we start, 0.23%. So now we have the equation for natural gas. Next, we want to find our equation for coal. Given that in 2010 it was 41%, our B is 41%, or 0.41. Then it decreased by about 0.7 percentage point per year. Since it decreased, my slope is going to be negative. 0.7 percentage point per year is the slope. Or negative 0.007 when you change that percent to a decimal. I'm going to use C of t to represent my function for coal. That replaces my y. My m is negative 0.007. My x is a t, plus my y-intercept, which is 0.41. Therefore, my two equations are N of t equals 0.008t plus 0.23, and C of t equals negative 0.007t plus 0.41. To predict when the percentage of electricity generated from natural gas will be equal to that of coal, we need to use substitution or elimination to find t. Given our two equations, substitution would be the easiest method to solve, so set them equal to each other. My next step is to add 0.007 t to both sides. So I have 0.015 t plus 0.23 equals 0.41. Next, subtract negative 0.23 from both sides. 0.015 t equals 0.18. Then divide both sides by 0.015, and t equals 12. Since we're starting in 2010, 2010 plus 12 is 2022. Predict when the percentage of electricity generated from natural gas will be equal to that of coal. It will happen in 2022. Now we need to figure out what is that percentage. Now that we know that t equals 12, we can use the n of t equation or the c of t equation to find the percentage. Using the n of t equation, I'm going to replace t with 12. So n of 12 equals 0.008 times 12 plus 0.23. 0.008 times 12 is 0.096. Add to that 0.23, and my final answer is 0.326. Changing that to a percentage, they are equal when they both generate 32.6% electricity. So what is the percentage? 32.6%. To check our answer, we need to consider that the two lines cross at the order pair 12.326. We can verify this by using intersect on our calculator. Going to my graphing calculator, I can press y equals. I want to type in my equation for natural gas, 0.008 t plus 0.23, down arrow, and type in my equation for coal. Make sure you use your negative sign, 0.007 t plus 0.41. If you'll notice above the y equals, plot 2 and plot 1 are highlighted. What this will do is plot the points from our previous example onto the lines for this example. If I arrow up, plot 1 is highlighted, I press enter, and it's no longer highlighted, so the calculator won't graph it. I arrow to the right, press enter, and now plot 2 is turned off as well, so it won't graph. So now I want to press zoom so I can see the graph of my equations. Because both my slope and my y-intercept are in decimal form, I want to choose number 4, zoom decimal. It looks like they cross on the far right. What I want to do is go to Window and try to get a better look at this. Since it's to the far right, I'm going to put it in the first quadrant by allowing my x-min to be 0. For my x-max, let's go with 10. Scale I'm going to leave alone. My y-min I'm going to use 0 again to get it in the first quadrant. And my y-max I'm going to change to 2 because the lines were very close to the x-axis, and this will bring it in better focus. Push graph to see our result. So the problem is I still can't see where they cross, so intersect is going to be useless. Go back to Window. I'm going to change the x max to 20, and we'll see what that does. Push graph. Now they cross. Second, trace to get to calc. 5 is my intersect. I'm going to arrow over from my first curve to where I think they cross. Press enter. Second curve, enter. Guess, enter. And our intersection, x is 12, y is 0.326. 12 is what we got for t, and 0.326 or 32.6 was what we got for our percentage. So our problem is correct. Using systems to model data. When we're using a system to model data, we want to write it as a function. F of t equals m times t plus b, which is a variation of our slope-intercept form. To find our equation to model our data, if we're given a scattergram, we want to find the line of best fit, pick 2 points, find the slope, then use one of the points in the slope to find the y-intercept to create your line. If you're given a statement where you have a starting point, such as in 2010 it was 23%, that is your y-intercept because you can allow your t equals 0 to be whatever year you want when the problem doesn't tell you. Then we look to see by how much it increased or decreased per year, and that will be our slope. We can always use intersect on our graphing calculator to double check our work when we use substitution or elimination to solve a system of equations.